My name is Elizabeth Shaw, last survivor of the Prometheus. And I'm still searching.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Underrated Podcast. This is a podcast where we discuss the films we feel are underrated, underappreciated, or have just slipped under the radar and passed most people by. This show is a collaboration of friends and podcasters comprised of Alan and Fred Torres.
Hey, what's up?
As well as me, Derek McDuff, and Sergio and Ariel Ortiz, who are not in this podcast but will be in the background, maybe giving some commentary.
Hello.
Today we are going to be talking about the 2012 film Prometheus, directed by Ridley Scott, and it is a quasi-sequel to the Alien franchise. The film stars
prequel.
The film stars Noomi Rapace, Michael Fassbender, Guy Pearce, Idris Elba, Logan Marshall Green, Charlize Theron, and Benedict Wong. The film received lukewarm reviews with a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes, and despite it being overall a financial success, it failed to live up to the box office expectations for the studio. The film also received a large amount of backlash from fans, particularly on the internet. So guys, let's get into it. Let's talk about Prometheus and what your thoughts were on it.
Alright, you want to go first? Or? Alright, go. Alright, so let me see. Where do I begin about Prometheus? I think as a standalone movie, right? If I were to take the alien part out of it,
because I think that's what it was intended.
It's a cool movie. The way it was told to me, because this is the premise that I got under it, right? I was under the impression that this was a prequel to Alien, like straight up prequel, right? So I assumed I was going to see a lot more aliens in it, you know. And I know it's something else, but at least when I first heard about it, people were telling me like, oh, this is going to be a prequel to the movie.
They marketed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go on. I'll
yeah. And like I said, like it was just how it was told to me. So then this was long ago, and I didn't watch it because I was like, I don't really want to see a prequel to Alien. It's just how I kind of saw it, and I was like, I get it. It's what it is, and that was cool. But that's always been like in the back of my mind, like a notion of it that it's supposed to be a prequel to the Alien series. So when I started watching it, you know, it's been so long that I kind of just left that in the back of my mind and said, you know what, okay, fine. If it's going to be a prequel, it's going to be a prequel. And I started watching it, and I really thoroughly enjoyed the movie that was given to me on its own, right?
Right.
Good story, good stuff. The only thing that, like I said, like I don't like, and sometimes they do it. Like they do it. Just movies do it sometimes, and that's when it kind of pulls me out a little bit. That I go, fuck, why do you have to do that? Like I end up getting a little disappointed in it. Not like it's going to be terrible, or I'm not going to recommend it, or I don't want to watch it. But I get a little disappointed when the movie itself was awesome. They could, you know what I would have preferred, like if it would have been kind of like a extra scene at the end of the movie, you know, at the end credits scene or something, where then maybe the alien thing popped out. You know, you just left this movie on its own the way it was, because I almost feel like it's so damn good to the point when the little alien pops out of the engineer. Yeah. I was like, I didn't need that shit. Or you should have left it. You should have left everything like that. Let her go off the planet or however, and then at the end credits or something, say, hey, stay for the movie, and then have the alien pop out. So that way, I could have had my
instead
movie
of just being at the end of the credits, or end of the movie, be at the end of the credits. I like it because it did kind of feel that way. Yeah. Like I feel like if this movie would have come out like, you know, 5 years later, it would have done that. Yeah. But this was like before, like post-credit scenes were a thing, but it wasn't like so prevalent as it is now.
No. I mean, I get it.
And
Why
it kind of acts like a post-credit scene, just not put on the post-credits.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I get it. So I get what it is. I get what it is, and I get it. Yeah. I was just like, God damn! Like, I just wish they wouldn't have gave it to me, because then it brought me back to being like, yeah, this whole movie is just for aliens.
Well,
like a prequel. And then I was like, I know, but I'm saying like it was such a good movie on its own, just like its own thing. I was like, man, fuck.
And well, I want to kind of talk about a little bit the writing process, because you brought it up about how it, you know, it is its own thing and not an Alien prequel, because this, like, the development for this movie is really interesting. They were planning it for years, but they did Alien versus Predator instead, and then finally they got John Spathis to write a script, and his script was called Alien Zero. Like, it was just a kind of like, it had a lot of the kind of arc, but it was much more of like, here's an Alien prequel. And then they brought on Damon Lindelof, who's, I fucking love Damon Lindelof. Like, it's no secret to anybody who listens to this or any of my friends that I lost his, my gospel. He's done a lot of other, he did The Leftovers is also great. He's kind of this guy who he doesn't get enough credit, but he's this really incredible writer who develops these really, interesting mysteries and philosophy questions, and, a lot of his stuff deals with father issues. And so all that stuff he took, the skeleton of the movie and, kind of was let's take out the xenomorph stuff, let's take out, the stuff that directly links to the alien, and we'll tell a story that's set in the alien universe that has some ties to it, but it really is its own thing. Still has the way he put it is it still has Damon Lindelof said, still has alien DNA, but it is not an alien story. It's its own thing. And he's if I don't want to see a movie where it just at the end Ash shows up from Alien 1 and you just tie directly in Alien 1. He's I have no interest in doing that. I want to tell an original story. And that's kind of, why I think that it is its own original movie, because it's not called Alien Prometheus. It's just called Prometheus. And I think that's a big pitfall that the sequel fell into. And I might get more of that later, where the sequel was trying to be okay, we've got to put all the alien stuff back in, and still trying to be a sequel to this movie that isn't really an alien movie. But yeah, I'll get more into it.
But it makes sense. Like I said, it was supposed to, since it gives you the feeling of this is the beginning before the aliens. That's the feeling I kind of get from it. But like I said, I don't know if I wanted to see the alien in the movie.
But it's not really the alien. It's kind of a basic.
Well, because it gives you the idea, the engineers are come and make the humans, right? Mm-hmm. The humans go back to see who created them, but then you find out that wherever they're at, it almost seems like that black liquid that makes the alien stuff come out, they're making it, almost seems like a weapon, almost like in Dragon Ball Z, where they would send one of the Saiyans out to go destroy a planet and take it over.
To take it over, yeah.
And this was a military. They were making weapons that they were planning to use to destroy Earth.
No, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I felt like. It just feels
I thought it was just in general they were using it. That was just a weapon.
They were specifically saying that they were trying to destroy Earth.
I think what that was going to go to Earth to destroy Earth.
Yeah, because they had that's where the guy was going to fly off at the end.
But the way they made it sound like in the movie was that they were doing it to many different planets at the same time. Yeah. That they were going through the solar system kind of doing that shit.
But I think mainly, because I remember the plot was in the beginning, you see one of those engineers where he throws his DNA into the water.
Yeah.
And I think it was supposed to be that Earth, we're part of the engineers. We have DNA from them.
Created by them. And that wasn't necessarily Earth. It could have been, but they go and
they make it seem like
creating life, sacrificing themselves and creating life in the galaxy.
But humans were kind of a fuck up, if anything. Exactly. They kind of made it oh shit.
Something up there, and interestingly, in the original script, or not the original script, but an earlier draft, because they mentioned this happened 2,000 years ago, and that's how old this body is. And there were some original drafts, references directly to Jesus, because that's how long ago it would have been he was crucified, and that's kind of why they decided. But they were that's too on the nose, let's take that out, but we'll still live the 2,000-year reference to kind of be humanity, killed this, savior off that was, supposed to be for them. And it does tie into a lot of the religious and mythology themes in the movie, just in general, I think. But yeah, there was an overt reference to that originally, but they kind of took it out.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm gonna be real. I maybe I glanced over that because I just saw that alien kind of break himself down, and then his DNA kind of go everywhere, and I go, oh, so he's the first person to make humans, is the way I saw it. But
yeah, no, that's too. That was that was kind of the start of life on Earth or whatever planet. That doesn't necessarily they were doing that to a lot of planets.
It looks like it looks like they've been doing a lot.
Then they wanted to undo it on at least Earth, if not other planets.
I mean, it was good. Like I said, it was good. I guess what's conflicting is do you want it to be its own movie that's completely devoid of it and it's just in the universe and it just stays out, or did you want to make it an alien movie? Because like I said, it's just I still hinge on that one scene at the end that I feel like it's your way of saying this is alien.
I think that's just a little. You're just putting a little bit alien. I think it is its own movie. Did you ever see Covenant? Alien Covenant?
No,
because that movie, it's the whole movie is that last scene.
Yeah,
that's the entire fucking movie.
And it makes sense. And it makes sense because now you're trying to pull that one movie into the limelight of the other stuff, and you got to overdo it.
Not written by Damon Lindelof. It was he had a different sequel in mind, and someone else wrote it. And the movie has it's good elements, but does not work as a movie at all. The sequel.
I don't know. It's like I said, I don't know, because It's a conflicting thing for me in this thing. Like I said, it's a good movie. Like I cannot say that it's not a good movie. It's a good movie. It's just I know that it's an alien movie because there's a damn alien. You see it in when you go in there when they have the tubes with the black liquid. Like you could see an alien there. Like they show what looks like a xenomorph in the thing, and then. Kind of like in their sculpture, kind of.
I like that there's just hints of it. Like,
but that's where I'm saying
it's just enough for me. For me personally,
yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
enough.
But it's pulling me back to say like this is an alien movie.
I think when I watch the alien universe.
But when I'm watching the movie, I honestly think that this is not. I guess what I'm trying to say is like it's not an alien movie. Period. Whether it's in the universe or not, like I could, as I'm watching it, I just completely forget about all that shit until they put it back into my face. Like this is it. Like it feels like I mean, and I know it's in the universe, but what I'm saying is like it feels like just a non-alien movie.
It honestly is closer to Blade Runner. It's a lot closer. Like that. And even Lindelof has said that. Like it does feel a lot more like the themes and like like it does. Alien's just kind of much more of a horror movie, whereas Blade Runner is asking all these big philosophical questions. It has like, what does it mean to be human? Like these people looking for their creators.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because so you've seen the Alien movie, you hear that this is supposed to be some kind of like before it all, and then it makes you think like, well, is it my typical Alien movie that I've seen, or is this? That's what I'm saying. Like, it put me in just, and this is just me. Like, this is just this. This isn't even anybody else. It put me in the space of like, this is a damn good movie on its own when you take out all the alien shit. But the alien shit gets sprinkled in, so it makes me think like, well, this isn't my typical alien movie. Like, where's all my other shit? Where's the fear that I feel when they're coming around the corner and all that extra shit that the stuff that I want from an alien movie, right? But I look at this movie and I go, well, this on its own, it's some good storytelling. But I'm like, damn, like, was this an alien movie? Was it not? That's why I go, I would rather not have had the xenomorph at the end, unless it was like some kind of like way at the end ending. So that way the movie itself would have self-contained ended, and I felt just, oh wow, this is really good. I see the end. Okay, that the next movie is gonna put me in the alien space. And like I said, these are just nitpicks. This isn't even a thing. Yeah. But this is just like I would have felt like if you could have just, or even if she would have done her speech, because I think what it is the speech that she does.
It is very reminiscent of Ripley.
No, but when I'm saying when she's doing her speech, I would have preferred the speech before the alien came out, and then maybe like after her speech, the alien could have come out.
No, that's what happens. She gives her speech, and the alien is literally the last thing in the movie. So that's exactly what happens. Okay. That's why I liked it, because I feel like.
But I feel like it's coming out as she's doing the speech, wasn't it?
No. It's after. Yeah, she does her speech. Then I would have. Then
I needed it way after, because I don't know. I just feel like it was just at that moment. Like I think I just wanted to end with just.
Because I think what you describe is what happens, and that's why I liked it.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe it's because I remember it a different way. Like I don't know. I feel like it was too close to each other. Is what I'm saying. It's just too close. I needed maybe like a little bit. I don't know. Like I said, maybe a little bit of credits and then that. And I would have been like, it's too far apart, and that would have been fine in my brain. But my brain just
because it does work as a stinger. It would normally, like today we said, it would be after the credits or mid credits.
And like I said, it's just a small nitpick. It's not even like the end all be all. But yeah, I will say if it's gonna be a prequel to the Alien, I did want to see more Alien. If we're taking it as its own movie, I didn't want to see any Alien. I guess that's where I'm at.
Alan, because we've been talking a lot. What do you have to say about this movie?
Well, the thing is, I liked it a lot. Like, I really enjoyed it. I liked it. That whole alien thing that never bothered me, because I'm like, it's in the universe. Like, that's what they said. They're like, it's a prequel. It takes place in the universe. So I was honestly going, all right, this isn't gonna be an alien movie, but I would not be surprised if a xenomorph shows up, which it does. And then, I mean, it's in the universe. It's the space jockey. I mean, that's what everybody knows Alien for too. In the very first movie, I mean,
because that's never explained in the first.
Yeah, you never see. You just go, oh, they call him a space jockey or whatever, engineer. So for me, it didn't really bother me. If I think if a xenomorph didn't show up, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. As long as it's in the universe, that's fine. The space jockey's there, but it doesn't bother me that it's there. Like, it shows up because. I mean, we watch all these Marvel movies. They're all within the same universe. If fucking Doctor Strange shows up in Thor, I'm not going to be surprised, and I'm not going to be like, oh, fuck, I just wanted this to be a Thor movie. I'll be like, oh, cool, he's there. Sweet. I liked a lot of, the questions it brought up. That was my favorite part of the movie, was that we were probably born from another race before us. Like, we were just some experiment. And it really makes you think, holy shit, what if that... was true. What if that is a possibility? I mean, I've even heard people say that we're like, technically we should be Martians because, you know, our DNA comes from some space dust off Mars or something like that. Don't quote me on it.
I mean, and Ridley Scott did say, like, with the original draft, which had this in it, that he was very inspired by, like, kind of like Chariots of the Gods and these kind of conspiracy theory type things about, like, Earth being, you know, made by life forms on Earth being made by some extraterrestrial beings and stuff like that.
And I love that. I love stuff like that. So for me, like, watching it, like, I remember when I walked out of the theater, I think me and my girlfriend, we talked about, like, all those concepts for, like, 2 hours in the car. And that's the best part.
That's what I love. It introduces all these big questions, and it doesn't be like, here's the answer to the universe. It's just like, at the end, it's just like, oh, you meet God, essentially, and he's just like, fucking kills you. Do you, like, expect him to tell you the secrets of the universe? And he's just like, no. And then Wayland's dying, and he's just like, there's nothing. You know, like, it gives you all these big, great mysteries, and it leaves you to be like, why don't you watch this again and examine it? Why don't you discuss this with somebody? It's not going to lay out all the answers for you. And that's a very, very Damon Lindelof thing. He does that in everything he makes, and that's one of the reasons I just think he's a fucking genius.
No, it was well written. I really enjoyed it for that. And like I mean, you know, like our previous episodes with the Suicide Club, you know, you watch it, and then you can talk about it after, like that's the best when a movie has you like sit down with somebody and try and answer those questions on your own. It gives a better experience, like a lingering effect. Just like back in the day, you'd watch those old horror films and stuff where, you know, like Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, you don't want to go to sleep or something like that. When it has a lingering effect like that on you after the credits roll, I think that's the best. So that's why. But I think it is very much underrated in that aspect, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, why is it an alien movie? You know, kind of similar like how Fred's asking.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Like, it was sold to, if it's sold to you, if it's said and sold to you that it's, that's what I'm saying. That's where you get conflicted, right? So it was sold to me as this is a prequel to Alien, and normally when you're used to prequels, you're used to it continuing the story before that. When you say it's in the universe of a movie, you're used to that it's going to be its own story. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Even though it is its own story, being sold to you as like Prometheus, you know, the prequel to Aliens, you think, well, I have to get some story, and then I think that's where
that's a mismarketing thing.
That's what I'm saying, and that's I think where it goes, because like I'm like I said, I'm just basing it on the movie's good. Like I said, the movie is good. That's not nothing. It's just when you have that preconceived notion already, like it's supposed to be a prequel, and you're like, well, this isn't really a prequel. This is more of, like you guys said, a movie set in the universe.
Yeah.
It does a really good job of recreating that, like, alien aesthetic, you know? Like, where, like, especially even the, like, the technology.
The H.R. Geiger stuff?
Was that?
The H.R. Geiger aesthetic?
Or even, like, you know, like, when they're on the ship and stuff, like, they have all the readouts, even though it's, like, futuristic, it still looks kind of like futuristic, like, 80s stuff, you know?
Yeah, it looks like his, like, because H.R. Geiger did all, like, the aesthetic for the Alien movies. He did all those, like, creepy fucking artwork where there's, like, lines and cybernetic organic
amazing.
Stuff. Yeah.
It looks fucking incredible. Like the alien landscapes, like, because this came out not too long after Avatar, like 3 years.
I want to say it was like 2012, 2013.
Yeah, this was 2012, so it's been 3 years after Avatar. I saw this movie in the theater, seeing it in 3D. I would love seeing this kind of stuff way more than just like a CG, just like
you know what though. But I
jungle.
think that helps, like these movies and some of the alien movies, is they're literally in one spot, so you can set up, you can make a set. You don't have to make multiple sets. You can spend all that cash on one set to make that look nice. That's what's nice about these movies.
And the creatures in this movie, like the fucking that they put in these, like they used a lot of like practical effects for all these big monsters and shit, like the fucking face hugger that they at the end that shows up that like they ripped out of her stomach. It's crazy how good this movie looks.
Yeah, I mean, but there's it's good. Like, you know, they did it right. I feel they did it right because they didn't put too much into it. Like, to have to, like, basically spend down. Because you see the worm face huggers, then you see the one that pops out of her stomach, and then it grows up, and then you've got the xenomorph, right?
Yeah.
So as in monster-wise, you can actually spend some good money on those few monsters that you have to make them look legit. Instead of having, like, 50,000 different things. And the same thing with the landscape and the thing. You're pretty much in the ships, and then you're which basically is their ship. Then you go into the engineer ship, and then you just kind of walk around in there. So you can really put a lot of money into the details and all this stuff, instead of having, you know, traveling through a bunch of different places or planets or things like that, where your budget gets blown out into other stuff. It's good. They did a good job.
And that's good. That's what I like.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Practical effects are king, man. I love practical effects.
I mean, we talked about that a lot on this podcast, and I think for good reason.
Mm-hmm. But I think the reason also, to kind of go off a little, prequels. Do you guys really care for prequels? I mean, I'm going to ask everybody here, like, if you guys want to chime in.
And that's why I think this works, because it's not really a prequel.
I feel like, sorry, but real quick, I feel like Fred said, it was advertised as a prequel. Yeah. It is set in the universe and it is kind of beforehand. But like, what's your opinion on the whole prequel thing for anything in general?
I just don't like, because it's just like, why are we hearing this story? Like, what's the point in hearing the story before the story?
I'll be honest, I do like prequels, depending on if it's done well. Because they can be done well or they can be done bad. But sometimes prequels are cool because you want to hear that story that goes beyond the person. Because, sometimes you'll have a character, like, for example, Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to have his own story right from the past. Mm-hmm. That's cool, and you can consider it a prequel, you can consider it not. But when we got Obi-Wan Kenobi, he was older, and, and I'm talking about the first Star Wars that came out in the theaters with Darth Vader and all that stuff. That's when you get him, that's when all that stuff, right? That's when all that stuff happens. But I'm saying now, you're going to get his backstory when he was younger.
But we already got that in prequel form, and it didn't work.
What?
I love the prequels.
Sorry, I have to bump in here. No, I think the Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Ewan McGregor is great. I'm not. His performance is great.
Oh, we're
talking
about
the prequels in general.
Going off of that, I do I agree with Fred here, where I do like prequels when they have a purpose, when they're given a backstory and a story that was introduced in let's say the prime storyline, but it's kind of expanded on, and for something that the fans actually want to hear. So going back to the prequels of the Star Wars with the whole midichlorians thing, didn't need to hear that, and that's one of the big dings to the prequels in my mind.
There's still good things about them, but
but overall, that I think the general consensus is that if a prequel is done well, if it's expanding on point of the prime storyline and it's done well, and it actually it has a meaning and is wanted, then I do like it.
You guys give a good example
of a prequel?
Of a prequel that does all those things. Because theoretically that sounds good, but I feel like a lot of times they just kind of there's not a lot of room in stories for prequels because you've already got the characters and they've already developed and stuff like that.
The best way... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So the best way I think prequels work, I like the Star Wars prequels because what happens is if you have a story and it starts... The thing about Star Wars with Episode 4, it's kind of already going on. Shit's happening. You're not learning about... the Empire isn't rising up right now. It's already happening. Everything's happening, and then there's this history behind it. So they're there was a war, there was a Clone War, all that stuff, and they make mention of it. But you don't have to do it. They literally didn't have to do the prequels because that kind of explains it to you. But they had a good setup, which is very rare for doing a good prequel, because now there's all this history behind it. You can go, yeah, actually, I want to see that. But there's nowadays where there's these prequel movies where they'll do some horror movies, they'll do a prequel for it. And I'm like, why? All the good shit's already happening now.
And that's what I completely agree with you. Sometimes I feel like some of these prequels are made for just money-wise. The studio goes, hey, we want a little bit more money in this universe or expand,
And we've talked about this on our solo podcast,
And I think that happens. But then there's times where, you get some good stuff. I get it. The prequels, I like the Star Wars prequels. I feel like they did give me a lot of story, and I feel they're good. Mm-hmm. Are there bad things about them though? Yeah, there's a few things that people didn't like, and
I legitimately think the third one's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, and they're, like I said, they're good in the sense of I got a little bit more lore, I got a little bit more story. Sometimes instead of getting a prequel in the sense of a movie, you got the Clone Wars cartoons, which is basically the prequel to the movie, but in a different format. That works sometimes a lot better because you can flesh it out a lot longer, give it a lot better. A lot of people like those. Sometimes in the movie, an hour in a movie to give more back lore, sometimes isn't enough. Mm-hmm. So I could see, for example, the Obi-Wan Kenobi, his story from when... Because I feel like the prequels, even though you might think we got Obi-Wan Kenobi, I feel like those were Darth Vader's prequel. Those were his story.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
this
fair.
is all
Yeah, they're all
the
about it.
Skywalker
I would've liked to have seen
legacy.
It's the Skywalker
a
family.
more Obi-Wan focused thing. That's why I think episode 2 had, for example, been like an Obi-Wan mystery where he was going around figuring all this stuff out, it would have worked. And it doesn't really work.
But that's the thing that then it changes to not be, Anakin's story.
Yeah.
And I think the first 3 are Anakin's story.
No,
the next 3 are Darth Vader's story, and then the next 3 are whoever.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, this is all
Anakin.
Well, and we'll see if this trilogy is
happens.
the Skywalker. This whole is the Skywalker legacy, basically.
But that's why it's not to go, but I hope that like you get that Disney Plus will give that. We'll finally maybe get one of those prequels that works well, because it is tough. It is tough to make a good prequel.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, if they would have told me that Prometheus was just its own movie in the universe, if that's how they sold it to me, I would have probably not have this like conflicting idea where kind of like.
So just like just going in and watching the movie itself without knowing, any of that.
It probably would have said, "Hey, oh shit!" I would have walked out and been like, "Oh shit! I didn't know this was connected." And then you find out at the end, like, "Well, that's kind of cool."
And that's why they don't call it Alien Prometheus. Like it's not.
And I get it, but because they told me like in the advertising and the stuff,
it was advertised as an Alien.
Yeah, this
movie
is the Alien prequel.
That was just like the people at the studios trying to make a bunch of money.
Yeah, but that's the thing that sometimes those
but
things
it doesn't
ruin.
affect the film that was made.
No, but sometimes it ruins your perception of the film.
Yeah, so I didn't watch it, but I could imagine that it would have been a nice surprise to have gotten that surprise of it being actually an Alien prequel, and I think it would have actually made it more hyped up, and maybe made it this not underrated.
If you just said it's in the world of Alien,
because
right? But this is all advertising. This is
I
what
don't
they
think
do
it would
to
have
us.
it wouldn't have gotten the budget that it did though. Then,
but but can you imagine like that? At the end of that opening weekend, everyone's like, "You cannot believe what this sci-fi movie actually
At
is."
the end,
so
it's fucking twist.
Thing. And I think I agree with you guys. That's on marketing. That's not on the movie itself.
And Alien is this like semi-horror and mystery genre that I feel like it would have just kicked it up a whole bigger
it's clear
notch
from the beginning that it is set in this universe. It's not a reveal at the end. Like a split situation.
Okay, well, no, because what I'm saying is like, okay, so let's just say that if they would have just taken out, because like I said, it was just that one xenomorph on the top. Let's say they would have removed that, went the whole movie without just showing you little things, and you get to that end scene, and that's the one scene that you get, it would have fucking blown your mind, like, just like straight up.
That would have been cool. I think it still works like this.
No, I'm not. Like I said, I'm not taking.
Still works.
No, it still works. We're not taking away from that. I'm just saying. The marketing is where I go, like, because the marketing did it,
exactly.
I look at this and go, well, I feel like I maybe wanted a little bit more Alien in it, if it's a prequel, right? Mm-hmm. So they're telling me it's a prequel, I'm going, it's a prequel.
Honestly, I would say go watch Alien Covenant, let me know what you think, because that's very much an Alien prequel, as well as being a sequel to this, and I would love to hear what you think about it, because I have a lot of complex thoughts about it.
I wanted to see it, but I heard a lot of bad things about it.
It's not a very good movie, but it has very good elements, very interesting things about it, but it doesn't work as a movie because it's two completely different things.
Is it a better Alien movie than a Prometheus sequel? Or is
it's trying to be both, and in that it doesn't really
fail.
achieve either. It's kind of like, who is this for? Is this for the people who were
liked
upset
Alien?
that there was no aliens in it, or were the people who liked it's because it tries to do these two things that don't work together, and that's what makes the movie. They should have either been Prometheus 2 or a straightforward Aliens sequel, and it wasn't either of those things. And that's why I like Prometheus a lot. I liked it at the time, and I kind of even have more of an appreciation for it now after watching Covenant. But I kind of like. Was there any other movies you guys wanted to mention that were like prequels that you thought did this particularly well? Before I start, because I really want to get into the themes of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, in the horror genre, I fucking hate prequels for horror movies because I'm like, dude, stop. Because usually the first movie explains everything about the villain and then the horror guy and all that stuff. Annabelle Creation, surprisingly, was really well done for being a prequel because, they released Annabelle and then it's already part of the Conjuring universe. But Annabelle Creation did a lot well because they explained more backstory to the doll, and then they were able to deliver a great horror film at the same time, which is fucking rare to do.
That's what I think this movie does a lot too. It does kind of deliver like that kind of cosmic horror, while also being like, you're like, what is that space jockey in the first one, and it kind of like answers some questions.
See, like that's well done. Unfortunately, with to use the same example, the Conjuring universe, like, I don't know if you guys watch the movies. There's a nun.
No.
There's like a nun in the second movie. She's fucking terrifying.
And then they made the movie The Nun.
The Nun, which was not great because they tried to give her lore and the movie failed because it was just so like, she's a spooky nun and she's a demon. Cool.
Yeah, like
what else?
Movies are great when you don't know really what this thing is. It's just a mystery and it's scary. And well, let me tell you why it's scary. It doesn't really work.
Yeah, it doesn't really work most of the time. Like, if there's some lore to give, sure, but at that point, you're not going to be like...
And that's a problem that Alien Covenant runs into a lot. It goes into a lot more of the creation of the xenomorphs, whereas this one doesn't really. It hints at it, but it doesn't really tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want to get into... there's a lot of things I could just go on about that are just, great things about the movie. Its cast, for everybody in this movie is incredible. Mm-hmm. That's, by the way, when we did our podcast on Upgrade, and I couldn't remember where I knew Logan Marshall Green from. It was from this movie. But, everyone in this movie is great. You get a young, skinny Benedict Wong. You get Idris Elba just killing it. You've got, everybody.
Michael Fassbender's amazing.
Fassbender's so good.
Yeah,
He's
good.
just 99% there as being a human. But the things that really sets this apart from a lot of stuff for me is the big, big themes. The kind of these people who are looking for these questions, where do we come from? What is the point of life? Wayland is I'm looking to find my creators. I'm looking for the people who made me. And then you have David, who is this guy's creation, looking at him okay, well, what's my point then? You're looking for these answers. I have them. I see you. You're right here. And then there's that great scene where the pool table, and he, Logan Marshall Green's character is drunk, and he's just like David Stockton. He's just he says, "Oh yeah, we made you because we could." And he's like, "Wouldn't you be disappointed if that was the answer you got from these guys?" And then he's like, "I'll do anything and everything to find out the answers." And then he puts the thing in his drink and kind of that starts him off on the chain, mutating him. But there's all these big questions about religion and faith and mythology. Obviously the title is Prometheus, so that's this famous Greek story about the god who gave fire to humanity, and that's kind of mirrors that first scene where the engineer sacrifices himself. And the core, one of the core things is obviously father issues, which is something that comes up and up again with Damon Lindelof, and creator issues, like the ultimate father issues, like God. You're trying to deal with our creators want to destroy us, as well as David, he's going crazy and he wants his father dead, and Vickers wants her father dead. But what really is, it's faith is a big thing in this movie, and especially in the future when you have all these scientific answers, there's some things you just have to take on faith. And that's a thing that Shaw says a couple times, is it's because I choose to believe it. It's what I choose to believe. And that is kind of if you peel back everything about this movie, the alien stuff, the cool mythology, the great acting, that's what this movie is about. It's about choosing to believe something in these unknowable questions. Not the stuff that you can be okay, we can look at a graph and see this. The questions to the universe, even when he's like, oh, you should take that cross off because we found out that we were created from these engineers. And she's like, well, who created them? And even at the end of this movie, after all this crazy shit has gone down, and she goes back and she finds headless David and everybody's dead, she says, the first thing she says to him is, where's my cross? And she puts the cross back on. She never loses faith. And that's what's incredible about this movie is just finding... And it is religious, a lot of it, and there is a lot of religious imagery, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It's about your beliefs and choosing your beliefs and honestly, the search for knowledge and these questions, while it might be dangerous, the search is more interesting and more important than necessarily the knowledge itself. I don't know.
Well said. You pretty much got everything.
I think about this movie a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, religion plays into it too, and then also, just like you said, when the robot's asking his creator, well, what's the point? And then you find out the answer is, I'm just created just to be created. Mm-hmm. And when the humans go ask their engineers, what's the point? He just starts to destroy them because it's almost the same thing. We just created you, just create you, dog. You're nothing to us, and we're gonna get rid of you because you're not worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's almost that whole cycle all over again.
Yeah, and the engineers, they literally sacrifice themselves to create more life. Whereas this guy, he goes across half the fucking galaxy because he doesn't want to die, and he looks at him like, you're fucking scum. we sacrifice ourselves. All you care about is living longer.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a big theme too. It's like, they created them. The engineers created us, and then it's like,
because I always wonder too. Like, let me just put this in.
Yeah.
What did Fassbender actually tell the alien?
He actually, they've confirmed, like, people who speak Proto-Indo-European confirms that he actually what he says is, this man wants more life. He wants you to give it to him.
Oh, okay. Because I was actually wondering, because you know how he was doing kind of these conniving things behind the scenes.
That was a big theory. That was a big theory at the time.
I wondered if he told him something,
but people
that's why he went crazy.
Yeah.
And
people disproved because he actually does speak Pro-Indo-European. Like, it's a reconstructed language, like ancient, like predating them, and so they actually. Yeah,
because that was the only one thing that I wondered. I go, did he like insult the engineer, and that's why he goes, you know what, F it, I'm taking them all out. Or was it like a pre-planned thing already kind of thing?
I mean, maybe it was an insult in a way. Because he's telling him, he's like, you're the creator. This fool's asking you to give him more life. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me? I already did. And then obviously he's like above, he's the creator.
But then again, is he the creator who created them? Or was it that one alien who did it decide like, I'm going to do it. And everybody else might be like, why are you doing this? This is dumb. Well, there's those things, there's those answers that you don't get. You know what I mean? Like, it just expands your mind. But because you just see that one guy, and like you said, you don't even know, is that Earth that they made? Because that one guy puts his DNA in the nice soup of whatever,
the primordial soup.
And then all of a sudden, this whole new thing happens.
It's cool because those vistas you see, if you look at them, there's this great, beautiful vistas. There's just rock and water. There's no life there. They're just nothing. Completely.
There's nothing. And there's what, like 4 guys in little chambers, and I think only one of them is alive or something, or or at least they only pulled one out.
The guy left in stasis. All the other one died when the thing got out, the contagion. Here's another unanswered question, and it's not an unanswered question in the movie. It's kind of a context question that I was thinking about when I recently rewatched it. Is, do you guys think that Shaw is kind of spared because of her faith? Because when the thing crashes down on her. It does crash down on her. She's sandwiched between these rocks and survives just by luck. And you might, at first glance, you might think, oh, that's contrived. But is that because she's like has faith and everyone else is just out here? Their quest for knowledge is either selfish or it's just knowledge for knowledge's sake, where she's actually on this kind of divine quest for knowledge for a greater good.
I guess it depends on the type of faith you have. Yeah. Like in the religion that I have, right? Not that every Catholic is a little different, but the way we've seen it is, if it's your time to go, God will call you when it's your time. So no matter what's going on in life, you can go sooner, but if it's your time, it's your time.
Well, let me put it this way: it's kind of like what it kind of reminded me of is it's like Pulp Fiction when Jules gets like shot, and he's like, "This was divine intervention. We should not have survived that." And I think this might be the same kind of thing.
That's what I'm saying. That's one way to see it, or the other way is like it's just not your time yet. Yeah. God lets you stay on Earth until it's your time. Yeah. So it doesn't matter. She could have tripped on a rock and died.
And I'm not saying she was like literally saved by God, but like just her faith is the reason she survives.
Because at the same, her faith might be what gives her the will to go on and keep fighting.
Yeah, and
that's probably what it is. It's just her will. Like, what gives you will? Is it your faith, or is it just you yourself that has that willpower?
Yeah.
Now, because
I mean, that part though was kind of like because she just happened to survive.
That's mad luck. Because on the same note, she had extra luck because if it wasn't for that alien being inside the chamber that she was in, she was gonna get murdered by the engineer. Because that guy just comes right into the room. He's gonna grab her, and then she opens up the door and lets the alien grab her.
And I like that. That's all subtext. That's like only if you like watch the movie and like kind of pick up on these things. There's nowhere in it where they're like, oh, and aren't you lucky that you were saved by these rocks? That was quite like, they don't say that. Like, It's just things you pick up on. I love that. It's just it's all subtext.
And that's how, like I said, that's how everybody could see it. Because some people might see it as, oh, it's the fate. Some might see it as she just got damn lucky. And it's just it's obviously going to come down to your interpretation on what it is.
And that's why it's so great. It doesn't answer the questions. It lets you
like I said, I would think it's luck, just because I mean, I don't know if God would save you from something like that. I mean, that's just I don't know how God works, right?
That's the whole point of the.
But I would think she just got lucky and she just didn't get crushed.
I don't know. I would say maybe it was faith. Maybe it was something greater, because again it still goes like. How some people believe, they say, oh, God has a plan. What if, there is a God and it's omnipotent, omniscient kind of being or any other cosmic being, where he like where did the engineers come from? There's something always has to come from something else, and then maybe her having faith. That's why she survived. I mean, she's pretty much the final girl in the movie too. So I don't know. It could be either thing. I think.
And we don't know. That's what's so great.
Exactly. I like to think maybe that there was some faith in it because, like you said, everybody else came and had more of like I guess sinful kind of reasons.
But what about Idris Elba in the airplane?
He's kind of a sacrifice. He's like almost like a Jesus figure. He even puts his arms up like Jesus.
Because she straight up goes, "Hey, you need to do what you need to do, and you need to go and crash into them while I keep burning off."
He's like the sacrificial lamb or the Jesus figure that literally like saves the world because they're going to go kill everyone on Earth. So he's very much that kind of figure in the religious lens of it.
Yeah.
Or the kind of like not even religious, like you can look at it that way, but you can also look at it just like from like a story perspective. Like this is the person that deserves to live, and this is the person that is the sacrificial person, whereas all these other wicked people just kind of get killed by he dies protecting people, she's spared, everyone else gets killed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just makes me wonder why she, out of everybody, is gonna get saved. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. That's just part of it. She's a protagonist, so obviously the protagonist gets to live.
Yeah,
just 100% in the movie, they get to live.
Well, not all the time.
Well, I'm saying like she could have sacrificed herself, but instead there's already the people that are going to sacrifice themselves. So someone has to live.
And Yannick, while he's like a protector, he doesn't have this kind. He's just there to fly the ship.
Yeah.
He's not doesn't have these grand ideals. Like she does, and he's a good guy. Like he's a sacrificial character like that, but he is not. The kind of like focus, like, and you have all those flashbacks to her, like, and how her dad died, and she still never lost her faith when that, and he died in India, and there's that really great scene where he's like talking about like, oh, like their God's not the same as mine, but they still have beliefs, and I respect their beliefs, and I have my different beliefs. I love all that stuff because I'm very much that same kind of way where I'm more or less agnostic, and I love looking at all the different beliefs and like I believe also not to get too much into it, but like there's something out there. I don't know what it is. Everybody's got their own interpretation, and I think everybody is equally valid, And I think this movie does kind of a good job with that, even though it's very Judeo-Christian in a lot of parts. They do also have a lot of mythologies and a lot of, conspiracies about aliens and all these different things, and it gives you all these different lenses of how to look at the world and ask all these big questions.
And then, too, it also doesn't, like, go out of its way to be like, no, this was religious or this was like divine, because I mean it can go the other way too, where it's like, yeah, maybe it was just plain stupid luck, and there's no reason in the world. What's the term? There's like a term pretty much saying like nobody matters, doesn't matter what's gonna happen to
nihilism,
you. Nihilism, thank you. It can also be nihilistic, like she got lucky.
That's
Idris Elba didn't have to sacrifice himself. Everybody just got unlucky. And she was the only one there.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's pretty much it.
Look at it read it that way too. That's what's beautiful about it.
Yeah, and people can, maybe people with lesser faith can be like, yeah, that's what I appreciate about it, because, that it's nothing's being crammed down anybody's throat either way, either side. That's why
I like that they took the Jesus reference out of the movie and made it kind of more vague and obscure. Is because there's nothing that is too just pointing at anything.
I'll be real. If they did put a Jesus reference in it, I think I would have seen this movie differently.
Yeah, I would have. It would have been too.
It would have been too much on it.
Yeah, it would have been too much.
Like I said,
I'm really glad they took that out.
Yeah, because I mean, like you get the feelings of religion, and stuff, and you feel like these are their gods, and I don't know. I mean, like all those things are always. It's cool when it's subtle. It's not cool when it's in your face. And like you said, when they if they take out that scene, and that's what it did, that's even better.
So I kind of want to, unless you guys have anything else you want to touch on before this, I want to move on to why we think this movie has this reputation, because I have some theories. And basically, this movie came out in 2012, and that's kind of right around when, like, nitpicky culture was kind of, like, reaching its zenith. And I don't mean, like having problems with the movie itself. I mean, nitpicks being like, well, why did they run this way? Well, why did the engineer do this? And it's just like stuff that everyone's like, oh, this is a plot hole. And it's things like 90% of the time that are not even actual plot holes. It's just things that like either aren't just directly shown, or like characters acting in a way that if you stop back and think about it completely logically, they might not do. But these are humans in a crazy situation. You're not going to always stop about and think about everything like a Vulcan. And this is, I don't know if you guys, how familiar you guys are with cinema sins, which is the scourge of the internet, in my opinion. But it's just like everything wrong with the fourth video they ever made, because they were launched in 2012, was Prometheus. And then you have things like Red Letter Media that just like was another thing that was very critical of it. And then every like armchair YouTuber and movie critic that saw this is like, well, Prometheus, I didn't like it because it didn't answer this. Like a lot of people didn't like it that it didn't answer the questions. And like, you're missing the whole fucking point of the movie. If you're wondering what are the answers to these unknowable questions, you're missing the point. And also, I think, like Fred was saying, another big problem was that it was marketed as an alien movie, and people were expecting to go see an alien movie. When they saw this, which was very much had alien flavor, but was a different thing, they were like, why isn't there more aliens? And I think that Covenant was a very knee-jerk reaction to that, where they're like, we're going to keep this story going, but just shove a lot of alien in there and have it kind of also be an alien movie.
Because what's familiar and all that, yeah.
And I think that that's honestly the reason why this movie has a little bit of a bad reputation, is because of those two big things. Because people are expecting an alien movie, and because it just came out in a time when if you have a movie that has questions that aren't going to be answered and has things that are interesting or vague, people are just going to be like, well, tell me this. Why didn't you tell me this? Did the top in Inception stop spinning or not? It's a bad movie. Like, people, or what's in the case in Pulp Fiction? People just want to know the answers. I'm like, you're missing the point.
Yeah,
the top,
I
you
agree
don't know
with
what's spinning.
that.
You don't know what's in the case. That's the whole point.
Yeah, because I remember, like, even, like, I mean, it's still kind of like that now. I mean, not as much, but, like, around that time, I remember every fucking movie that came out, like, you know, I'd go watch it, and immediately I'd come back to work on Monday. At that time in my job, everybody was like a big film buff. Everybody would go watch the movies with their spouses or significant others, and we'd all talk about it on Monday morning. And I remember with Prometheus and with The Dark Knight Rises, which I think came out that year too.
That's another one that got this.
Oh my fucking god, dude! It was the whole like,
God,
how did he leave the hole? How did he get back to Gotham? And I'm like, he's fucking Batman. That should be enough for you. And they're like, no, that's bullshit. And da 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 da. And I'm like,
he's
oh my
fucking
god.
happy with Catwoman. Just leave it be.
Yeah, like
yeah, stuff like
how
that.
did Batman paint that thing in gasoline? You're missing the fucking
Yeah,
point.
and it's like, dude, it doesn't fucking matter. The whole point is that he's. I mean, at the end, I'm the biggest Batman guy here, so you'll know he's fucking crazy. At the end of the day, Batman is an insane person. If he's gonna fucking light up a bat symbol on fire, he's gonna do it because he has resources and he's just a mad lad.
Yeah. And by the way,
if he wants the cat, he's gonna get the cat.
Yeah, he's gonna get it.
Yeah. And by the way, The Dark Knight Rises, I think, was like the second video done by Everything Wrong
yes,
with
it was.
the Cynicism. Yeah, so
I love those
guys.
guys.
Were the first 2-4 movies that they bitched about.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're not, the way I watch them, I mean, this is my own opinion on them. I think they just do it for shits and giggles. I mean, they have good points sometimes, but other points I'm like, come on, dude. You're just nitpicking.
They're like training people to watch movies the wrong way and make people complain about everything.
Which I agree with, that they do, because when I watch a movie, I go to enjoy it, because like I said, I would come to work on Monday morning and fucking everyone's just like, oh my god, okay, so, you know, I didn't like the shoes he was wearing, I hated that he drew the bat symbol, I fucking hated this and this and this, and I'm like, okay, then don't fucking watch the movie then. Don't worry about it. Don't trip. Just let it go. And I would have to tell people at that time too, where like they'd come, you know, Monday morning, and I'm like, okay, how much did you hate it? Why did you go watch it? And they're just like, well, I mean, and I'm like, okay.
You know, but I think in all honesty, and in all that stuff, that's a little bit of the beauty of it, that everybody has their own opinion and all this stuff. Obviously, if you enjoy the movie a lot, and I'll be real, you really love the movie, you're going to hate it when people tell you that they got
oh, yeah, of course, but I'm saying
now,
the nitpick culture that he's bringing up is, I do see that.
I think it's just that people get to communicate more and things like that, and you start to see more things, and people have always had, like, I like when I go watch a movie, I enjoy the movie, and I'll walk out of it enjoying it. Mm-hmm. Now, when people ask me, like, what do I, like, think, mm-hmm. and I start saying, well, okay, well, I saw this, and I think this, or I saw that, and I think that, I end up getting people going like, oh, so then you didn't like the movie, or why are you... No, I'm like, no. I like the movie. But you're just asking me, like, what do I think? Well, if I'm going to give you 100% of my what do I think, for example, in the Avengers Endgame, this is just one example. Captain America giving Falcon the shield, I was like, nah, I don't like that. And that doesn't mean that the whole movie's bad.
Yeah,
I just
of course. I didn't like it either.
I would prefer Bucky to have it.
Yeah.
I
liked it a lot,
but to some people,
everybody's different, exactly.
But yeah, but to some people will be like, well, why are you nitpicking the movie, or why did you? Oh, this is so beautiful. And I'm just like, no, I'm just.
See, that's a different kind of thing.
That's a different kind of thing.
No, and everybody's and everybody's got and I'm saying everybody got different levels and different stuff. What I think this movie suffered is this, and I'll give a brand new example that just came out. Look at what Fast and the Furious did with that whole Hobbs and Shaw movie, right?
I'd rather not.
No, but I'm saying that's a separate thing from the Fast and the Furious. Like, they basically pushed them to their own corner and said, they're in the universe, but they're their own thing. Don't think of the regular Fast and the Furious franchise.
Don't think of the fact that he murdered Han, who is one of the favorite characters of the movie. He's a good guy now.
You know what? But that was like a retro thing, because 3, the Tokyo Drift, is completely separate from all the other movies. That's like its own like thing. They just had to tie it back in is the problem. But like I said, what I'm saying there is they pushed it off to the side and told people Hobbs and Shaw or whatever, this is going to be its own. It's in the universe. It's in the stuff. Maybe you'll see stuff cross over, but it's their own lane. They're taking their own lane. I think what they should have done with Prometheus is, instead of saying, hey, this is a prequel, just said, hey, this is in the universe. This is its own lane. Let it take its own lane. And it could have done fantastic with its own movies all the way through on its own storyline. But instead, like I said, they sold it to you as a prequel. Yeah. That's why you're going to have people complain, because they're going to like, hey, this is a little different. The second
part I was saying.
And exactly, that's what I'm agreeing with you. But that's what I'm saying. They should have done this like they do other movies and say, this is all in the universe. This is its own contained movie, and it'll continue on. But it can run parallel to Alien. It just doesn't have to be what Alien is.
And I think now they would probably do that. But back then, like, cinematic universes were not really a thing. Like, we had... Really, back then, the Marvel Universe was still in its infancy. You had, Avengers come out that year, so we had just done the standalone movies. Like, and now you can be like, oh, Hobbs and Shaw, it's in this Fast and the Furious universe. But that wasn't really a concept.
The thing where you'll get nitpicking though really bad would be this. They say, hey, this Hobbs and Shaw movie is the next Fast and the Furious movie. If they were to tell you this is the next Fast and the Furious movie, but then you go, where's all the other characters? Where all this stuff? People will say this is a stupid movie. I didn't like it. This is bad. This is that. If it has a hardcore fan base. Now, I don't know how hardcore the Alien fan base is, but I know there's a lot of people that love the Alien movies. Mm-hmm. So if you tell them this is a prequel and you're expecting a certain thing, you're going to get those hardcore fans, which are the most vocal ones, let's be real, coming out and saying like, well, this thing sucks. This is that. It's missing this. It's missing that. How come they didn't put this? How come they didn't put that? Because you sold it to the hardcore fans as this is a prequel to Alien. Mm-hmm. And they shouldn't have done that. Now, this isn't the movies. This isn't the movie's fault. This isn't the movie's fault.
It's marketing.
Yeah. But it's marketing. But because you market it like that, these people are going with a certain expectation. It would be like telling me, hey, I'm doing a new, a new Ghostbusters male movie. Not even the female. That was some
They're literally
bullshit.
Doing that.
But like, yeah, I don't know, but it's the son doing it. But I'm just saying, like, let's say you were to continue the story, but you're telling me it's their story, but then you don't put him, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You need to, with something that has such a deep rooted fan base with so much love for it, you need to be honest with them and tell them this is what it is. Because if you say anything else other than that, they're going to try to rip you a new asshole.
Yeah, you're
and that
right
can even
that.
be even worse marketing. Bad marketing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're honest with them, tell them, hey, look, because everybody loves a movie in the... Look at Rogue One. Mm-hmm. When people love those kinds of movies that come out, when you tell them, hey, this is what this movie is, it's in the universe, it's its own movie, this is what it is, people will go, well, fuck yeah, I want to see more in the universe.
Too. A Star Wars story. That's all it says, and that's it.
And that's what they should have done with Prometheus. Said, hey, you know what? Don't even say the prequel part. If you want to suggest in the movie when you watch it that it might have been one, well, that's a question that people can answer themselves. But instead of marketing it to them that way, they shouldn't have done that. That's where they fucked up on this shit.
Yeah.
If they wouldn't have done that, like I said, it's a fucking good movie. It is a good movie. But if I'm looking at it in the lens of how they told me to watch it, by saying it's a prequel, you're going to expect, you in your mind already expect, what does prequel mean? And what do I kind of expect from it? And then I'm saying, those hardcore fans, like I said, hardcore fans are crazy as fuck. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter even if the movie's good. They're going to find something that they don't like. Or if you say, like, for example, Robert Downey Jr. is terrible, or Batman's a shitty character, or this and that in the movie, those hardcore fans will come at you and fucking just bombard you with shit. And I'm not a hardcore Alien fan. Right? I'm not.
I honestly saw this movie before I saw Alien.
I've seen the Alien movies before I saw this movie.
I love Alien is one of my favorite movies ever. I like this and Alien and Aliens, all three of them, for all completely different reasons.
I saw those movies when I was younger, and then when I saw this one, well, obviously I just recently saw this one. But like I said,
you just watched it for the first time for the
podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't want to watch it because they were like, it's a prequel movie to Aliens, and I thought, well, why the hell do I want to watch a prequel to Aliens? I don't really care any backstory. Like I said, I'm not a hardcore fan where I wanted to know their story. Not, for example, Star Wars, I did when they said prequel movies.
Of course.
I was like, ooh, I want to hear more. But like I said, I'm not a hardcore fan. I was like, I'm good with what I've seen. Aliens, stick something in someone's mouth, pop out of the stomach. I'm an alien. I eat people. I was like, that was exciting when I saw the movie, but I don't need anything more than that. But when I heard there was a prequel, that's why I said nah. And then even now, I still remember it. I'm like, Prometheus, and I'm like, oh, the prequel to... That's what I thought. Oh, the prequel to Aliens. All right, well, let me sit down and watch it. And then I was like, well, where the fuck are the aliens? Where the fuck are the aliens? The whole time I was watching it, I'm just thinking like, where? Oh, there's a symbol. Okay, I'm about to see them.
Yeah. The trailer, I think, did a good job, but the rest of the marketing...
the marketing was pretty good.
Like I said, just that... If the marketing was strong enough for me this many years later to remember saying, it's a fucking prequel... That they did a shitty job on making people think that.
Well, so then what do you guys think? Do you guys think this movie's reputation will change? That's something we always ask.
Yeah, I can definitely see it changing.
I can see it changing. Yeah. As more people start to get informed that, hey, it's not a prequel, and as those notions start to change, I could see it move up.
And one reason I think it really will is because they were supposed to be a trilogy, Covenant being the second one, and then there was going to be a third one, which was canceled because Covenant did bad. It did really poorly at the box office for good, for unsurprising reasons. And so Fox had canceled it. But now that Disney has bought Fox, they have come out and said, we are going to be making more Alien movies. And I'm really curious to see what they do with this, if they're able to kind of right the ship and put things back on track. I hope that they make this one kind of like the third one, kind of more like Prometheus and answer and kind of like continue a lot of these stories that, they kind of messed a lot of stuff up in Covenant, but I think they could still probably right the ship a little bit. They can still salvage
it. The thing is, it's gonna keep going just because, like you said, they're gonna make more movies.
Do you think though, with Disney owning it, you think they're just gonna reboot the whole thing and do a whole new thing though?
No, I don't think so, because a lot of people would probably get pissed.
And the second one ended on some big cliffhangers, and I think they will try to kind of at least in some way resolve a lot of that stuff. And Michael Fassbender's performance is still really well regarded. I think they'll have him return.
Yeah, I think it'll keep going. I think it'll gain notoriety at one point because it's just it's an Alien franchise, and I'm pretty sure more aliens come out. Just how Disney's making more Star Wars movies, and there's more frequency. I think definitely there's going to be people going, hey, what are the best Alien movies now that there's so many? What should I watch? Oh, well, you can watch Prometheus. You can watch Alien and Aliens if you want to watch a fucking really weird one, Alien Resurrection.
That's a weird ass movie.
Fucking.
I even Alien 3 even has its benefits.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. Alien vs. Predator. I know you didn't say that. I really actually like that movie for what it was.
Oh, the first one, yeah, definitely the first one.
Have you guys seen Alien 3?
Yeah, I saw it a long time ago.
Clearly, they were writing and building sets and doing a lot of things and had a lot of issues. But it's directed by David Fincher, one of my favorite directors, and I think there's a lot of his. You see a lot of his stuff. It's a movie that's clearly very. There was no way it was going to be a good movie, but you had someone who was a genius making it, and it ended up being a lot better than it had any right to be.
I think Alien 3, if anything, I think lately it's been getting more popular. People have been saying that, you know what? Yeah, we gave it a little too much shit back in the day. It's actually better than it actually is, but Alien Resurrection is still fucking dumb.
Yeah. and I think that the same thing might happen with Prometheus. People might, start to they do with Alien 3, kind of give it that.
They're like, yeah,
glance.
You know what? It wasn't as bad as I remember, and then. Even Alien vs. Predator people nowadays too are like, you know what? It wasn't as bad as you think. It's actually pretty fun. It has good lore.
Like I said, if you take that movie, you have to take for what it is. It's kind of like that Freddy vs. Jason kind of type deal shit.
But
you have to really
though.
take them what. No, but I'm saying you have to take them for what they are instead of not. It's not gonna build up.
And it's not going to ask these questions.
Yeah,
you're watching a monster movie.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. When people first went into those thinking oh, more lore, more. No. It's a monster movie. You're having a good time. It might be like a Godzilla versus King Kong idea,
King of the Monsters.
Yeah,
that just came out in the new one.
But it's things like that. You're gonna have fun with it if you want to have fun. But sometimes people want another Alien movie instead of Alien vs. Predator.
Alien vs. Predator Requiem was fucking. Honestly, that movie could have been way better. Mm-hmm. I don't know who was the cinematographer. Who the fuck thought, "Hey, let's film it so dark"? No, not
No, I mean
thematically,
physically dark. The movie is hard to
dude,
see.
Yeah, I saw it with
it's not
with
dark
Frank.
themes. Literally, it's
Dude, I saw it in theaters. I saw it with a couple of friends, and I swear the whole time we're like, bro, can you fucking see what's going on? Like, I want to see the Predalien, and I can't see shit. And like, it would come out every now and again. You're like, yo, turn the resolution up or some shit, man.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, everybody, for listening. And, obviously, I think there was really interesting, good discussions about a lot of this stuff in the movie. Was there anything else you guys wanted to touch on before we kind of wrap this all up?
No, I think we touched a lot on this one.
There's a lot of big themes and interesting stuff in this one. But anyway, guys, if you're listening, just go ahead and hit subscribe on whatever app you're listening to us on right now, and get those new episodes when they come out every other week. And if you can, just give us a rating and a review. 5 stars on iTunes really helps the show get noticed. And more than anything, though, if you guys can just do one thing, just tell a friend, tell somebody to listen to us, and look us up, and we would really appreciate that. But once again, we're the Undercast company made up of Ariel and Sergio Ortiz from Nerd Incorporated.
Hello, thanks for being amazing. Have a good night.
And Alan and Fred Torres from District 6, who had this great discussion with me.
No, what up.
My name is Derek McDuff. You can find stuff I've written online at sites like Watch Mojo. I've also got another podcast on the Marvel Cinematic Universe called Infinity Stones and Dragon Bones, or follow me on Instagram. But thank you once again, guys, for listening. Stay tuned, and hopefully you'll hear us with our next podcast.
And reach out to us. We really want to hear from you guys. We want to know what you guys think and what movies that you like that we should watch and check out, maybe talk about.
Send us an email at undercastcompany@gmail.com. Guys, I'll see you in another life.
Bye.
Bye.